Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Ready to get some things cracking here. Already got God of Ka and Tyrion in the chat. Gonna wait just a little bit to get some more folks here showing up. I'm gonna go ahead and get us a super chat goal thrown over there on the YouTube side, and we are going to get cracking. Hope everybody's doing fantastic tonight. Get a little bit of time, let some folks filter on in here. Hope everybody's doing good. Let's see here. Get our goal started up. Make sure that's good to go. Yes. Yeah, chose to imbibe. I generally am a fan of the choose to imbibe option. This time, actually, for me, I'm out of bourbon, which I didn't get a chance to grab anymore today. And I did not want to crack open my Beaujolais Nouveau. For those of you who do not know, today, the third Thursday of November, is Beaujolais Nouveau Day every year. It is a very particular French red wine from the Rhone Valley, that particularly the Beaujolais region. Beaujolais Nouveau means the new grapes of the Beaujolais. So it's the new grapes. It's weird in the way of a wine, in that you don't want it aged. The newer it is, the better it is. The best way to drink it is to crack open the cask and dip it straight out of the barrel. By February every year, if you have any left over by February, you're making sangria or something like that out of it, because it's kind of lost its body and its flavor. You want to drink it right away. Well, the third Thursday in November is Beaujolais Nouveau Day, when they actually release the wine to the public. And I bought myself a few bottles today because it's my favorite. So, but I decided not to crack the bottle open. And since I'm out of bourbon, I have a rum sidecar. Some nice gold Jamaican rum, little triple sec, some lemon juice, a little bit of sugar. Shake it up, good to rock and roll. So that is the liquor for the evening, and got a good one for us today. We're going to talk about some spicy topics, I guess you could say. You're going to be looking at our looking at the AI art conversation. We're going to be looking at some upcoming stuff I've got that I'm probably going to run out as that I'm going to run out possibly as a Kickstarter. I'm not sure if I'm just going to open up pre-orders and maybe do a limited pre-order thing, or if I'm going to do it as a Kickstarter. But a project I've been working on for quite a while with several other authors. It's I think it's going to be great, and hopefully it's something you guys will be able to pick up and enjoy. No, it is not evil ints, because those don't exist. But it is going to be something I think that's pretty exciting. I think it's kind of a big deal. And we're obviously, like I said, going to talk about the whole shebang. I'm going to try and stay away, honestly, from a lot of the personal back and forth nitpicking. I want to really try and stay focused on the topic. I know I'm going to have to address some of the other actors that are involved in that situation. But as a general rule, I'm going to try and stay focused on just my philosophy when it comes to the use of AI art in various different products and by various different actors within the hobby. But we are, like I said, I'm definitely going to have to at least say some things as it relates to that. But while you're here, make sure, pound on the like button, share this stream on your X, share it on your Discord servers, wherever. Get your, tell people to hop in the chat, get in here and say hi and see what we've got to talk about. And like I said, we're not going to be entirely just just like anything else. We're not going to be entirely on topic here because we're kind of trying to hang out. John, yes, the super chat goal is for the same thing the super chat goal is always for. It is for working towards the car giveaway project. That reminds me, that is one big thing that will happen. We'll do that around 7:00 Central. It's the results of our members and patron poll. Over the past couple of weeks since the last stream, it was kind of floated that instead of doing just an overall giveaway, just a big open, hey, we're doing a sweepstakes for a car, that maybe we should kind of turn it into a charity thing where it's like find a TTRPG content creator, a developer, designer, somebody in the, an artist, somebody here in the, in the indie space that's maybe going through some rough times or, has some need there, and to do it as a charity giveaway to one of them as opposed to doing it as a like a sweepstakes giveaway. So I put out a poll and said, hey, if you're a member or a paid tier patron, you're going to get to vote in this poll, and that's what's going to decide what we do with it. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that right now while we're waiting on some more people to filter in to get into the main topics here. And hey, man, you can't boycott just from, speaking French, because you got to remember that, French ruled the world up until, World War I. It was a language of kings. I mean, Richard the Lionheart did not speak English. He spoke French. Remember that. All your favorite English kings. Edward the Longshanks, French speaker. That's right. Charlemagne, even though he was a nominally German and the Holy Roman Emperor, spoke French. At least proto-French. That's right. Napoleon, greatest general of all time, Corsican, who ran the French Empire. It wasn't until they didn't become cheese-eating surrender monkeys that needed us to bail them out all the time until, like 1915. No favorite English kings. You know what my favorite English king is? George III, because we whipped his ass and he gives me plenty of jokes every 4th of July. The Duke of Wellington. So let's go ahead and let me touch on why a couple of things that are important about the giveaway situation. So without getting too deep in depth on it when it comes to like some of the legalities and tax law and all that BS, if I do a sweepstakes where I'm just giving the car away, it has to be open to everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean Indian farmer account that sends me 5,000 letters in my mailbox to sign up to win the car because it just wants to win a car, and the thing gets stripped and nobody enjoys it. And I just gave money to some scammer because he managed to flood my inbox with him and 2,000 of his cousins. The way a lot of places get around that is you'll notice they'll be like, hey, my subscribers are all automatically entered, which is what I would have done. Paid members, patrons, y'all are automatically entered. You're automatically up there. Everybody else that is a subscriber, you just have to email me proof of your subscription. And then everybody else has to send a letter that gets to my PO box postmarked between this date and this date to be to be in the drawing. But that's the only way you can get away with it being not an illegal lottery or any of the various illegal raffles and stuff like that where I get nailed for gambling and a bunch of other stuff. So to do it as a charity, this is how I'd be doing it. Somebody else has to nominate you. That's what it is. Basically, I'll open it up to subscribers to the channel. Will be able to nominate people for the dart. And, give me their story, what's going on with them. It's like, hey, this person's on rough times, whatever it is. But just nominate them. Okay. And it will only be the people who are nominated by others who are subscribers or whatnot that can be eligible for the drawing. Now, that's on you guys if the hardship that somebody you nominate is that they're your little brother and that's hardship enough. That's on you guys. Okay. But the idea is that you bring people to the channel. Like, I will not be able to nominate anybody in that case. That's the hard, honest truth. Not legally, not ethically, not morally. I cannot put somebody in there. And nobody would be able to nominate themselves. But if God of Ka came out and said, you know what? Old Tyrion seems like he's struggling with a bunch of mental issues there in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and nominate him so he can win the Dodge Dart. Then he can be thrown into the drawing. But that gives it more, it gives it more of a charity feel to it because people are nominating others and it promotes a little bit more community. It also helps me get around the fact that I really don't want to end up in some rare situation where I've got, a handful of patrons and a dozen members and a few other people who do it all the right way. And then I get 400 mail-ins that clearly come from some nonsense BS account that I have to put into a drawing. But if you want to be able to nominate yourselves, got to vote for that. Let's see here. Nominate that John Smith guy. He's having a shit day. Had to listen to French and then lies about the French. Man. Too bad, man. I see what happened there. But you know what? I'm not talking about the French in general here. It's French wine. And if you want to talk about something that France does very well, pretty much better than everybody else in the universe, it's food and wine. I mean, let's face it. All the good cuisine is pretty much based in French. I mean, the other stuff is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's French food's pretty awesome. And if it does make you feel better as a blooded Cajun, it's Cajun French. So it's really just like Louisiana rednecks that eat everything and, as long as it's put over rice and it all tastes good, and whipped the ever-living crap out of the British after they had already called off the War of 1812. Nominate old John too. French here. Look at this. See this kind of stuff right here? I can already tell you guys, like, I love you guys. I think y'all are great. But I have a feeling y'all are gonna. I get the distinct feeling that some of you guys are gonna have some sudden tragedy the second that car's finished. I'm going to get it down here. It's going to get on camera. We're going to start working on it. My body guy's going to start working on it. And all of a sudden, everybody suddenly go, oh, my dog was sick. I dropped my favorite dice down the drain. Cadians were hardly even French by then. The cayenne burned away the weakness. I will say that as a general rule, Cajun French food, way spicier than traditional French cuisine. But you're not going to hear me yelling about a Bananas Foster's either. No, and seriously, I mean, let's look at the truth here. Gordon Ramsay, British chef, well, UK chef extraordinary. He's technically Scottish. And all trained in France. He's a French chef. He can be British all he wants to be, but he's a French chef. He was trained under Guy Savoy. So, all right. So that's enough enough car talk. Like I said, here in about 45 minutes, I will click on go off on the hunt for the poll results, and we'll figure out how that goes out. So let's talk about some cool stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and throw this to the chat. Do we give the announcement to the chat? You know, all you early birds get the worm and get to have the special stuff early, and we go over some of this project I've been working on, or do we jump right into the AI discussion? I'm going to go ahead and throw a poll up there for that, guys. Let's see here. We're just going to say AI, and I'm just going to put book because I'm there you go. Go ahead and vote on that real quick if y'all don't mind. There's 9 of you. Y'all are starting to filter into chat here real quick. I'm going to apologize real quick. Unfortunately, I got to keep half an eyeball on my phone here. The wife is extraordinarily late at work today, so I want to make sure when she starts heading out and traffic and stuff, I'll make sure nothing happens. Patty, what's going on, my friend? I know you're interested in some AI. Man, look at him throwing some heat over at Gordon Ramsay. Keep in mind that's a restaurant he owns. That ain't one of them Michelin star joints. Though I would like to go there. I'm just offending the hell out of John today. Dude called a Scot British, then called him French. No, I said he cooks. He's a French chef. Army of axe wielding little girls on my door. Look, I'm American. If they're French, they're just going to beg me to come give them their country back. And if they're British, I'm just going to kick them out of mine. And come on now. I mean, what's Jack Lost Lore Scholar going to come over here and protest on my front lawn and then get arrested for protesting? That was mean. I shouldn't have backhanded old Lost Lore Scholar there. He didn't deserve that. Look at this. We were sitting here on dead heat on AI versus book. Got 6 votes in here, and we're currently sitting on a dead heat. I will agree with that. And doesn't matter, whatever it is, in 2 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and make a judgment call, and we're going to get kicking on the stuff that matters. Lexington, Kentucky, man, you and I are going to have to talk about some bourbon exchange because I live in an ABC state, and for those of you who don't know how the great horror of living in an ABC state, there's a reason why I think most ABC states are like automatically, they're automatically very, like, if not Republican, at least extremely anti-government. It's because they have to put up with the ABC, which, by the way, means alcoholic beverage control. Basically, that means the way it works is we don't have liquor distributors. Like, I can't get, if I had a liquor store, I wouldn't be able to buy stuff from Diageo or anybody. I have to buy it from the ABC because the state is the sole distributor of alcoholic beverages in the state of Alabama, or in any other ABC state for that matter. Basically, they buy all the liquor, however much they think the state needs, and then they sell it to the liquor stores. And it means that the state store is in direct competition with the liquor stores. They get a 5% discount to buy liquor from the state. So they buy it for 5% less than I do at the state store. And of course, you all know that with licensing fees and all the other overhead, 5% ain't a profit margin that makes them work. So the state undercuts them on all the sales too. Yes, it is. It's actually, believe it or not, it is not communist. It is legitimately fascist, like the actual fascist definition. like of the actual fascist government. The government-owned corporation is in direct competition with all of the independent business owners, which is actual bullshit, because it also means that they just decide, oh, this is what we need. And all the restaurants have to order from them and the whole 9 yards. So I'll give you a great example. I got a really, really good friend who loves this particular brand of vanilla rum. Cannot buy it anywhere in the state. Can't. Why? Because the ABC board only buys enough to supply the restaurants. So none of it ever makes it to the shelf anywhere. Can't buy it. Because, the government sucks at absolutely everything. You would think, oh, people want this and it's not on our shelves. We should maybe allocate more next year. No, they're just stupid. All right, we've hit 21. Let me go check this poll real quick, and we will go on. Ooh, AI by a nose. 57% to 43%. We're going to go right ahead and jump right into the AI discussion. I'm going to check chat real quick, and we're going to get rocking. No, she wasn't French. She may have been a French revolutionary, but she wasn't French. I'm pretty sure she was definitively English, given that you're talking about Lewis Carroll. you're talking about an English author. Okay. Austrian? No, not Austrian. So AI, guys, I'm going to put this in a nutshell for you guys. There's plenty of people on both sides of this debate that just need to stop crying, because they are boo-hooing and they're poisoning the well across the board. There's a very big place for AI art in both in development and the hobby across the board. Let's start right off the bat. It is not any kind of copyright infringement. That is the most asinine argument on the planet. Oh my God, it takes all this art from all these people and it learns through that, which is exactly how every artist on the planet learns. If anything, it means that it's less infringing than a real human artist. Why? Because you get somebody like, say, Patty, who is a fantastic artist and will be featured here later in the episode. He's a fantastic artist, but he learned from studying dozens, maybe hundreds of artists, studying their techniques, studying the things they learned about perspective, studying their work in order to create his own style. AI does that with millions of artists in seconds. So you can get that, just put that out. Now, it can't be, there is a very good reason to not use AI in a lot of facets, because if you don't alter it significantly, it's not eligible for any kind of intellectual property protection. So you can make it like, imagine if Harley Davidson made the shield logo that they're famous for with AI. They wouldn't be able to trademark that. So everybody in the universe would be able to copy it and use it, and they couldn't say boo about it, because intellectual property laws only apply to natural human beings. Period. End of story. If AI writes it, you got no copyright. I can just print it and sell it. Go ahead. AI write a fantastic story. I'll just go ahead and print my own version of it and sell it, and you can't say boo because you wrote it with AI. And AI does not have copyright protection. Same thing with trademark. You want to talk about a real fun theoretical discussion. Imagine AI develops, imagine you program an algorithm, you put in a ton of mechanical information, and it develops some kind of machine, some new way, far more efficient way of doing something. You wouldn't be able to patent that machine because AI created it. Only a human creation can be protected by intellectual property, as AI has no true intellect and is not a natural born person. So it's neither protectable, so that is an issue in and of itself, but it's also not infringing. So that's one thing. You hear that argument a lot from the crybaby artists. And the crybaby artist, that's not a person like a Patty. That's not a person like a Rob Nepronomicon. That's not a person like a Larry Elmore. That's not a person who has like, for instance, the Basic Expert. That's not a person like that. And the reason I say that is because those individuals have enough talent and enough creativity that no amount of AI is going to prevent them from being able to fill that commission pipeline and make their money. It might ding their commission rate a little bit, which we will get into in a second, but it's not going to stop them. What it is going to kill is all of these junk garbage. I spent 3 months fooling around with Adobe or with, some other vector imaging software or something like that. And I have some very, very, very basic, the only thing I can really do that is of professional quality is maybe make a logo or something. And maybe I can get some D&D players to get me to pay them to make a character portrait or something. Those people, they're going to cry a whole bunch because AI more or less eliminates their need to exist. Especially for the kind of prices that a lot of them try to charge. A lot of these people try to charge, $200 for something. And it's hilarious because I can go to somebody like, say, Patty, and get something far more intricate, far better, just leagues beyond for the same amount of money that they would charge me for, say, a headshot, and they're crying about AI. So you got to get those people out of the way. But that's kind of the when you start talking about like the intellectual property side of things. I don't have a problem with regular, like with small indie creators using a lot of AI. So, for instance, I'm making a game right now, a D30 game. Been making it. I've been working on it for years. I've been in and out of it. I'm actually about to run out a cyberpunk version of it that I think I might have ready to start looking at a Kickstarter in the next 6 or 8 months, maybe even a little earlier than that. But you're talking, and like, let's just look at like the D&D Player's Handbook, for instance. And I know I'm just using it as an example. Open it up and count the number of the individual pieces of artwork that go into that book. Or take Shadow Dark. Pick up Shadow Dark. Count the individual pieces of artwork that go into that book. And now imagine that each and every one of those pieces of art that's in that book costs you somewhere between $150 and $1,500. Add that all up and add that into an indie creator's account. Then take somebody like Corpse Kings, who does amazing work with AI, and look at his books. He's got the amazing AI artwork in there that he has done a lot of work with. He's really good with his prompts. And put those two in competition against each other. I mean, that's a lot of money to come up with out of nowhere for something that doesn't exist yet. You can talk about Kickstarters and stuff, but is my Kickstarter going to get me 20, 30, 40 grand before there's anything even finished yet? Because keep in mind, most of these artists, I mean, you got some really good ones out there that might let you do some stuff. But do you really think you're going to be able to start putting this whole product together and everything without pulling the money out of your own pocket and then trying to pay yourself back with the Kickstarter? In most cases, no, you're not. So in that regard, AI art is going to give us a lot more product. It's going to give us more books. It's going to give us more games. It's going to give us more stuff that we can look at that may have really good merit. And let's face the real facts here. A lot of these indie artists, indie publishers and whatnot would love to have to find the next Larry Elmore to do their cover. and grow together. They would love to have something like that happen and to pay somebody. But when they look at the fact that they're going to have to, like, say, for a handbook for a TTRPG, that they may have to fold thousands of dollars back into their costs and thus raise their prices when they know that they're putting it out there and everybody's bitching about how much things costs. I mean, that's an ouch. Now, I'm a firm believer that if you're going to do AI, you better do it well. Don't put junk out there. I'm going to give Condor DM a little bit of props here. The cover piece for his Skullhorn Edition Neo TTRPG is an AI-generated image, and I think that it is probably the best thing that he has in his entire RPG. It looks like he at least did some work on that particular image to make it reasonably decent. Now, we flip kind of to the other side here. When I start getting really anti-AI, there is no ethical justification. Zero. It is theft, and it is fraud. If you create images using AI and then lie to the consumer, whether that's an individual commission or that's just the people that are out there, even if you're just misleading, like if I don't disclose that I use AI, because this is the way I feel. Let me give you my position here. If I used AI in a book, I think whatever AI I use needs to be a credited artist in that book. I need it to say logo designed by ChatGPT or OpenAI, logo designed by Nightwish, logo designed by Grok. That should be disclosed, which is a step beyond just not lying. Okay? But you got these people out here who are creating AI images in some fashion, form, or another, putting them out there and selling them or turning them in with commissions as if they didn't use this AI. And that is theft. They are stealing. I'm not going to name names, and I'm not going to give real prices. So I just want everybody to know here that these are close. I have a project, and I go out and say, I need an image that is a quarter page on a standard paperback. So we're going to talk, it's going to be 3 inches tall and 6 inches wide. And it needs to be this. And the artist comes to me and says, okay, it's going to be $100. Okay. It's going to be $100. And I expect that artist to make me that $100 image. And that artist, and I'm paying him $100 because it's his skill, it's his talent. And I know that it's going to take him hours and multiple revisions to create the image to my standard to put in my book. And that's why he gets the $100. Because he put in 4 hours of total work, and he got $25 an hour, which is probably still a little low, but still, he got $25 an hour in this example. Meanwhile, there's an AI person over there who is plugging it into AI to make their base image and then tracing over it, or taking the AI image and altering it in some way in some other program, and they're doing the same work in an hour, charging me the same rate and not disclosing that. So they're essentially cheating me by saying I'm getting X amount of talent for X hours, when what I'm really getting is far less talent for far less time in a program that I could go use myself for free or for $12 a month or something. And they're cheating both me and that other artist, and they're doing so through deception. And that is 100,000% wrong, and absolutely could not. So AI should absolutely 1,000% in every single situation be disclosed, whether it's all you're using, whether you're trying to say, whatever the case may be. And these people who are taking AI and trying to sell it to others are straight up thieves. Period. End of story. So let me check a couple of chats real quick before I get too far ahead here. Let's see here. Three noses and wins the poll in a landslide. All right, come on, man. Come on, man. AI didn't cheat the poll, and it sure as hell wasn't a landslide. It was like by one vote. Here we go. In my opinion, it is a moral wrong when it comes to a program creating an image versus a person using skill to create a drawing. I have to disagree there. It's not a moral wrong. There's no problem with having a tool that does something for you. We have tons of that stuff in every other industry. I mean, to be honest, if you make car parts up at Gestamp or Johnson Control or any of those, SEMA or any of these other factories that create parts for Toyota and Ford and whatever, you don't have a welder who is a trained welder, a great tradesman who's in there arc welding these parts together anymore. You got George Jetson sitting in a booth hitting a button, welding headlights, and it makes our cars cheaper, and the consistency is a lot better. And you no longer have the Friday car. My car was made at 5 p.m. on Friday, so all the parts are shit. I mean, it's fine. The issue comes in when you start lying about things and you start trying to misrepresent. So the actual action is not in any way amoral. It's the use of it without disclosure that's immoral. Counterpoint, even when deliberately trying to copy someone's work, a human being does bring something personal and unique to the work, and that is the basis of fraud and counterfeit detection. That is, in a way, that is an interesting point there. But here's the point I have to say. There's a level of degrees here. Let's take an AI image. You can sit here and you can make the argument that AI image is made up of numerous pieces of other works, right? So I made this AI image of a woman sitting there with her arms folded, smiling. There's pieces of the Mona Lisa and a million other paintings in it. But when you get right down to it, the pieces of the Mona Lisa make up like 9 pixels out of the entire image, because there's billions of images that were used. So there's literally there's 5 or 6 pixels from the Mona Lisa. You can make the argument that a human artist, by drawing a line in a certain manner with a certain technique, has already used more from another artist or from another work than that piece of AI has. But yes, there's definitely, when a human does kind of like it's kind of like when you listen to a cover song. In a lot of cases, covers get covered. Pun. Covers get covered by a lot of copyright law, mainly because those musicians and their expression of that work is different and transformative enough. Let's see here. Got a Ka again. Even when making my own TTRPG, I'm looking to get an artist yet, but when I do, I'll try to hire a human for the artwork and product. Look, in the announcement that's coming up here, every single piece of artwork is human made. I hired a couple of people who are fantastic to do the artwork for this project. So this is not coming from I'm using AI over here to make my costs go down, and I'm just trying to defend what I'm doing here. I literally hired human beings to do the work because I thought they'd do a better job. They do a better job, and to be perfectly honest, it's worth more. My time is worth more to me learning how to fool around with AI to make it work than it is to pay somebody who has skill and talent that I actually respect to do the work. Let's see here. Oh, welcome. Ultra American TTRPG is here. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Welcome to the stream. And he said, should be able to use AI as long as we're honest that we use it. That is my point. You must be honest about it, because that's also a thing that I need to factor into my decision to buy your product. When I'm looking at your product to buy it, I'm going to buy your game. I'm going to buy your book. I'm thinking about the money and the people and the stuff that went in to buy it. That went in to create it, and that artist's vision is part of it. And if it's just an AI generated image, then I'm paying the same person twice in a way. I'm paying the author twice because he punched the stuff in. Yeah, and right there, charging someone for hours not worked is theft by all measures. It really is. And that's kind of my thoughts on it. Let's see here. We got some good stuff. Yeah, and this is a good point right here. This is one thing I want to bring up about some of the AI stuff from our buddy Patty's Parlor here. Man, you want to talk about a great artist? Right here. Right here. Good man. I'm going to go ahead and shout him out real quick, even though he will not be featured in this stream because it's still a work in progress. This is the man who was hired to do the cover and the illustration for the cover image of the product that are the project that I'm going to be going over in detail here shortly. But because of that study, I notice things that other art, I'm assuming means that other art about others' art, others don't. That is the truth. If you look at the big debate that kind of spurred this on, the row about Elven Maid N and her commission work, that's where a lot of this comes down to. You get these people wanting to cry about, oh, there's no proof, there's no evidence, where's this, where's that? And, they're trying to use these ridiculous AI detectors that are just not in any way acceptable, to be honest. They're just not accurate. But when you have a real artist who takes a piece of artwork from somebody else and breaks it down, they look at things like, is this cloak that this knight is wearing moving in a realistic manner? Does it make sense for the stones in this step? I got a step here, right? And it's kind of rough hewn and you can tell it's got wear and tear on it. Does that wear and tear make sense for a step made out of stone? Or do we just have rocks that are kind of slanted in random positions and that sort of thing? Because AI does not have the capacity to think outside of the box, so to speak, and make something realistic, it's just getting random pieces of stone in rough condition and kind of putting them in there that make no sense. Whereas a human says, well, a step wouldn't wear down in this way. People walk up and down the center, so the center of these stairs should be worn more than the exterior. And, you end up in this situation where when the human draws the steps, the center is more worn than the ends of the steps. Little things like that are going to get caught by that human artist because those are part of composition. Those are part of artistic theory that AI does not currently have the capacity to recognize on its own. And yeah, so that shows out right there from those from those pieces. And then right here, stopping the shop, I generally don't care about AI. I don't think it looks particularly good, but I think you mentioned earlier how I've studied things and I still study. See, this is what you get when you get a real artist with real talent who can barely fit somebody in for commissions anyway. He ain't worried about AI taking his job. The people worried about AI taking their job are people who don't have skill to begin with. Yeah, All Along the Watchtower is a fantastic cover. It really is. Much better than Bob Dylan's original, in my opinion. So let's see here. More from Patio. People got upset because you criticized the Castles and Crusades art like they don't cheer on 3-hour streams every week criticizing bad art. Isn't that the damn truth? Isn't that the damn truth? And I will say this, is that you do hear a lot of that. There is a tremendous amount of what I'm going to call it what it is, hypocrisy here. You get these people crying about support the little guy. You get these people crying about, supporting true, not being deceitful, about, treating your customers right, about supporting the indie creator. And then they turn around and they undercut the indie creator by falsifying their use of AI art. And it's disgusting. I'm going to use a term. It's an economics term, which makes it near and dear to my heart. And it's a term that the basic expert used. He said it increases the noise to signal ratio. What that means in a nutshell, when we talk about economics and pricing in the market, is when we decide what something's worth as a consumer, what we're doing is we're weighing the amount of labor it took us to make the dollar amount versus what we value that item as. And we take a bunch of stuff into consideration. And if I'm going to price something, like if I've made, I've made this bottle of water right here, and I'm going to put this bottle of flavored water on the market, and I'm going to sell it. What I'm looking for is signals from the market, right? I'm looking for, what do people pay for bottled water? What is the difference of my bottled water versus others? What do similar bottled water sell for? And what do cheaper bottled water sell for? Basic amount and all this kind of stuff. Those are the signals that I'm listening for to price my thing. However, noise is going to be things that don't make sense, or that are not true. So for instance, I'm pulling my data from a place that just got hit by a hurricane, and there's people out there price gouging for water, and this bottle of water is $12. All right, if I'm pricing my bottle of water off of that noise in the market, I'm not going to sell anything because I'm not getting good information. So what happens with the AI art is, if you've got nothing but, say, real artists in the market, I can go out and I can look and I can say, for a 2-inch by 2-inch single character graphic with no background, relative to my skill, it cost $50. That's what the general commission is. Some people are a little higher, some are a little lower, but the average is about $50. That's what the market is telling me, that's what that kind of image is really worth. If all of a sudden I got a ton of people in there with AI who are everywhere from $10 to $35 to $80, none of that actually really matters to me as an artist for that 2x2 image, because it's not real. It isn't a real depiction of the skill and the labor that goes into it. It's just noise. And it's even worse when you have somebody who is portraying that AI as a real human generated image, because now it's getting mixed in. I can't just exclude it because it's AI. I have to go find out, is it AI? I have to prove if it's AI. I have to argue about that. And it's not just a matter of it undercuts me and it makes my work cheaper. It makes it very difficult for me to determine a fair price, both as an artist and as a consumer. So it literally hurts everyone, just so one person can sit there and parade themselves around as if they're some kind of skilled artist when they're not. They want borrowed talent that they didn't earn. These are people who don't pay their dues and want everyone else's. So let's take a look, see here. Another one from Patty with EMI. That would be Elvin Made In. She got defensive with me a long time ago. I pointed out a piece she did, and I did a critique about how a belt disappears and belt pouches hang on nothing. That's the kind of thing I was talking about earlier, about like the stone steps that don't bend in the right way or aren't worn in kind of a real way. Like they're over here, the step is still basically brand new, and it's a wear pattern that goes across here instead of like the wear pattern that goes like this, because we walk up the center of the steps. Same kind of thing. And that's the kind of crap she does. And real artists pick up on it. And then more people dump a tremendous amount in there. And I love that Castles and Crusades was brought up, because that's a part that matters here too, guys. Castles and Crusades went out and advertised that they were not using, Troll Lord Games went out and advertised, we are not using AI in any of our images. And some people that they commissioned to make real artwork gave them stuff that used AI. So not only did they steal from them by saying we didn't use AI and cheating them out of that money, they also tarnished their reputation with all of those people out there. Because to me, and doesn't matter, I'm a little weird because I'm very much about digging in and finding who's truly responsible. But for most people, if you go to the car dealership and they tell you the car will do 100 miles an hour and you can't get it over 98, you blame that salesman for lying to you. I don't trust him. He lied to me about this car doing 100 miles an hour. It doesn't matter to you that Ford Motor Company lied to him and said that's what the car was capable of. It matters to you that he gave you the wrong information. And so when Troll Lord Game says we don't use any AI, and it's like, oh, well, your cover or these artwork has AI in it, their name is mud. They can't turn around and say, well, our artist lied to us. It's like, well, quit pointing your finger. The buck stops with you. You told me I was buying something with no AI, and you lied to me. So that artist who lied to Troll Lord Games tarnished their reputation with all of their clients to make an extra buck. And that's where the entirety of that problem comes down, is it is just wildly unethical. And a lot of the defenders of it and the perpetrators of it, a lot of them act like it's harmless. You're still getting your artwork. I'm going to touch on something here that might piss off a couple people in chat, because I know there's some people who think this way. Piracy is the same thing, guys. All right. Boycott means boycott. That means you don't buy the crap. That means you are willing to suffer not having whatever game it is to send a message. It doesn't mean you run over and sail the high seas of the internet and pirate the game. Just because the victim is a big corporation or a AAA publisher, don't make it right. It's the same damn thing, just on a bigger scale. So let's see here. Hey, 100% absolutely love it. Appreciate the super chat, man. Everybody should give me an obligatory super. Love it, man. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Scrolling through. We got any other good comments over here? Guy on Drop Through RPG that has 2 publisher accounts, and he publishes a new adventure every day for $4.99 on sale for 99 cents, and he's Copper and Electrum bestsellers. Yeah. So let's expound on that. Let's expand on how that affects the market. This guy is clearly cranking out adventures with AI. He's putting 20 minutes worth of work into creating these things, throwing up there. So, well, he's making them for $1 a piece. But everybody who's out there trying to make good adventures is having to have their $9, $15 adventure featured next to this guy who's cranking out 99-cent adventures. That market the signal is wrong. And he is poisoning that well across the board. He's hurting that other person's sales. He is confusing the consumer base. And it's, we're going to sit here and, there's the legal defense of allegedly and all that stuff you have to throw up on this asterisk, don't know for sure. Maybe he's just a prodigy. Maybe he's a savant. Maybe all he does is spend 24/7 cranking out adventures, and he's some kind of autist. And that's all he does for a living is crank out 99-cent adventures, hoping that he can make, Electrum bestseller every time. But honestly, we all know what's happening here. Throw it in AI, crank it up there. Not telling anybody that ChatGPT made these adventures, because let me put it to you this way: would you pay $1 for his ChatGPT adventure if you knew you could just go say, "Hey, write me a D&D adventure level 2 about goblins in the woods that are raiding a small village," and do it for free and get it in 15 minutes? No, you wouldn't. Let's see here. What we got here? AI art is one thing. Using it to create a red product is more unethical. It's not. It really isn't. It's absolutely not more unethical. They're both the same thing. I guess you could probably say, like, at least AI, like, if it's disclosed, it's disclosed, and you know what it is, and you know what it is, whether it's writing or whether it's art. Artists still have to put a tremendous amount of time, skill, and effort into creating their art, just like a writer has to do it into putting in his written work. There's no, it's not worse. It is not worse. They're both, and I'll put it to you this way. This is a little bit of Christian theology for you, but a core tenet of Christian theology is that all sin is sin. There is no greater sin or lesser sin. Murder or a white lie, it's a sin. It's just as abhorrent to God, right? Same thing. You're still a thief. You're still a liar. You're still a fraud. And whether that fraud is to panhandle at the corner of the truck stop to get somebody to throw 50 cents worth of change in your upturned hat with your please help me sign, or whether it's to rip off an Electrum bestseller from Drive-Thru RPG, or to create a novel that everybody suddenly thinks is a New York Times bestseller and turns out it was written entirely by OpenAI, the only difference is scale. It's the same sin. Just as bad. Hey, appreciate it, my friend. Glad you signed up. New member. So we are coming up on the end of the first hour here, guys. We got about 4 minutes left, and then I'm going to close out the polls for what we do with the car. What do we think about the AI situation, guys? Let's get some more thoughts out of chat here. Give me your thoughts on some of this, because to me, I don't think the all AI, the all anti-AI brigade is right. I don't think the AI brigade is right either. The people who are like, screw you, y'all are all Luddites. I mean, there's clear quality differences. I think AI has its place. Not going to lie. I've used AI to do things like create logos. Little bit of a sneak peek here. The D30 game that I'm working on, I've been working on the system for a couple of years now to kind of balance it out and get ready to do. I jumped in a little early and started a Discord for beta testing, but haven't even started yet because I don't think I'm really quite ready for it yet. But I'm going to do a motorcycle club, like biker gang style cyberpunk game as one of the settings to debut this system. And I'm going to make a tremendous number of the patch logos for these motorcycle clubs with AI rather than paying an artist for them. But those are like patch logos, which are then going to be turned over to real artists to make the artwork that matters throughout the book. And that to me is like the way you should use AI. It's great for punching out a logo. It's great for punching out some very simple imagery. I'll give you another thing. It is fantastic for helping you visualize and conceptualize what you want to put in your writing, or to give an idea to an artist. Like, hey, here's a piece of AI art that kind of, sort of, a little bit gives you the idea of what I'm thinking. Take it and do something with it. These are all very good ways to use it. I think real artists will always be supreme and should charge accordingly, but I have no problem with AI art or writing, even for sale. If it's something I want or like, that's just me, though. And that's true. If it's something you like, my only thing is it needs to be disclosed. It needs to be disclosed. It needs to be put out there. You can't be lying to people and saying that you created something that you didn't. And think about the implications of that, too. If I'm writing something with AI, there's no intellectual property protection. I can just copy it, put it under my name. You better go out and do some work. Let's see. AI situation is a mess. Still have my foot on being anti-AI since a couple of years ago, but as long as you don't try pushing it on me and hiding its AI, you do you, not my path. Perfectly fair way to look at things. Shouldn't be forced into doing it. That's part of the reason why I think the disclosure is so important, is because, like I said, it sends bad signals to the market. I see God of Kai's game with real work, real artwork, and then my game has AI artwork, and I let it be posed as AI, as real art. You're looking at my game that's $15 cheaper, and you're wondering why he's overcharging so much. And it's because I've artificially lowered my cost and not told you how. And misrepresented it. That's the important part. Well, let's see. Let's see. AI can illustrate, but it can't make art. The difference between a commercial jingle and a hymn. Some people can't tell the difference, but that doesn't make them equal. That is a very, very, very fair assessment. And I will say that it is more AI illustration than AI art. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a little bit here, even though I've avoided that thus far. That's exactly what you get with good old Elvin Made In. Go look at the crap that she pumps out. There's a couple of pieces that she's done that are okay, and they're a little bit more rudimentary, but 99% of her stuff, garbage. And it's the jingle. It's the commercial jingle versus Bach. Because she hadn't created anything. She's traced over some crap, moved a couple of images around, a couple of pieces around, made a couple of alterations, doesn't understand what she's doing, and she's made garbage. And then wants to run around and act like that's not what she did, and has a small army of people who, I mean, you want to talk about pathetic. Let me just put this out there. As a man, you are utterly, it's bad enough if you're a simp. It's incredibly pathetic if you're a simp for a big-tittied anime avatar that was probably created on a Fearin AI generator. Seriously, cartoon boobs is what you want to jump out here and defend? Ugh. But yeah, there is a huge difference. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. This has bit me in the ass a little bit, because I went out there to get my artists to do some of the art for this project we're about to talk about. And I thought I was doing myself and them a favor by saying, look, here's what I want to do. I just want to give you a very general idea, and I want you to have complete creative freedom. Realistically, if time permits, I would love for you to read the story that you're going to be doing illustration for, and you just draw what comes to you that fits this thing. And that was real difficult for for some of the artists I talked to. It's like, can you please just describe the image you want for my thing? And it's like, can you please, like, I'm trying to give you a freedom to express your creativity here and not be shackled by whatever idea I have. I mean, it didn't work out the way I thought it would. I was hoping it would, but point is, I did get some good stuff out of it though. But yeah, I mean, the difference between art and AI is just trying to piece together something you told it to draw, whereas an artist is actually interpreting, feeling, and living in the world and making something happen. I had an RPG product destroyed because I spent $2,000 on art from real artists and received nothing but unusable lines. Yeah, that's you got to be real careful about vetting these artists. And I will say this, there is a very large segment of the art community that are just getting what they deserve out of AI. People who've been charging $250 for dinky little bullshit logos and then wanting to turn around and argue that they should keep the copyright for their work for hire. Which, for those of you who don't know, art really comes in two different, and this is any expression, music, whatever, comes really in two different major flavors. There's contracted work, there's, published contracted royalty work, that sort of thing. There's work for hire. All right. So commission, contract work, a lot of that is the artist retains the copyright and you just have use of it because you asked for it. Work for hire means that you own the copyright. They charge you to make the image, but it's yours. It's not theirs. They don't have a right to go out and sell it. They can't use it for anything else. It's yours. Most commissions are actually work for hire. And if you look at the stuff you sign, like say when you get a tattoo, a lot of tattoo artists have it in there. If you read in it, this is not a work for hire agreement. This is the work, the rights for the work are retained by the artist. You know, the expression is theirs, et cetera, et cetera. But in general, and in most states, the law says that if it's not explicitly stated, most contracted work like that is considered a work for hire, which means that the copyright belongs to the person who bought the work. And you got a lot of these artists out here who didn't understand that. They wanted to overcharge for stuff and keep the copyrights. They do shit where they take half money up front and then they don't finish their work, because this is a little bit of a generalization, but it largely holds true. Most artists don't understand business because their brain doesn't work that way. It's also why their asses don't have any kind of discipline or consistency in their work life, because they don't organize their day to get their shit done. All right. So you pay them half up front for their work. The money is spent by the end of the day, and they never get around to finishing your work. That's the difference between, you know, you want to know a way you can tell a really good professional artist is you go to them, you say, hey man, my commissions are pretty full. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 months before I can get to it. I'll go ahead and get you some mock-ups. You tell me if this is what you're thinking, and we'll make some terms then. That's the way real good artists work. They understand it's going to take me this amount of time to get to it. They understand, hey, let's make sure we have a meeting in the minds before we move forward. But unfortunately, you got a lot of junk where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to continue to own your logo. I'm going to charge you $250 for what really is 15 minutes of sketching by me. And, I'm going to charge you half, 125 up front, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Just is garbage. And yes, it will destroy your project if you get that kind of artist like that. I once had a lifestyle brand company, a t-shirt company, that was going to do a bunch of work for mixed martial arts promotions, kind of like a Silver Star or, Tap Out's a bad example, but like Silver Star. And I'm trying to think of the other one, Affliction, that had kind of the more intricate designs. I had a company like that. Had an artist on hire. Had a lot of really good artwork lined up. I had lined up brand deals with stores, with storefronts to have storefront space. I had lined up production, sourcing for the t-shirts, screen printing, had all this stuff lined up, everything ready to go, contracts in place. This guy wants to turn around and try and put a gun to my head and hold me up, saying that because he's the artist and he's the real driver behind the product and the company, I should give him 75% of the company because he drew some art. And it's like, you've lost your damn mind. And that ended up just tanking the entire project. My name became mud with all the people I'd set up arrangements with because I couldn't deliver anything because he was withholding the images. And I ended up having to take him to court and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, bad artists, bad agreement stuff can just burn you. Yeah. Ever ready to burn money on publishing and crowdfunding or all? You got to be careful with crowdfunding. I'm looking into it, doing it myself. Possibly on this project we're about to talk about, but you got to be careful with crowdfunding, because what happens if you do the crowdfunding, you get all the money in, and then the artist burns you. Now you're the one who has egg on his face facing that crowdfunding where you promised this product. The really successful crowdfunding usually has the product finished 100% and set up, ready to go before they ever so much as put it out. Yeah. Fucking yeah. Having cancer last year and long recovery was bad. Yeah, it sure was. I'll bet it was. But you know what? You still get your shit done. And you ain't got people sitting there, that were charged half up front a year and a half ago waiting on artwork. Why? Because you do stuff right. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's these other people who are just screwing everybody over. Absolutely, yes. Recovery thing takes a lot longer than it seems. and you got your stuff there too. Guys, both of you, prayers going up, and hope you guys soldier on through. Glad to see you're both still with us, and everybody in chat should have you in the thoughts and prayers for recovery, remission, and staying in remission. So, 1 second here, guys. Let's go ahead and let me check the old polls. Let's go. YouTube really does not like you to do things that are not videos. It's like, why is there not a very, very simple, easy way for me to go check posts? All right, 100% with 2 votes on the members. Oh, charité. And let's go here to car giveaway poll in the Patreon. 67% charity, 33% sweepstakes. It looks like we have pretty much an overall landslide. Actually, here, let me make it. Yep, 75% charity, 25% sweepstakes. We have a overwhelming landslide that we're going to go the nominated person charity route, period, for the car giveaway on this channel. So I'll make a big formal announcement about that, probably as part of Intelligence as a dump stat on Monday, since it's the one that gets the most people. But here's the way it'll work. If you are a paid patron member or a member of the channel, or you do so via super chat, you will be able to nominate really anybody. But the idea is nominate creators, members of the community, artists, writers, designers who maybe are struggling or having something going on. Maybe we have a situation where we have like some of the folks here in chat, Patty and good old I got to figure out, I got to remember what an actual name for old crap phone here is, because I just can't call you a crap phone. Guys like that, it's like, hey, cancer problems, that sort of thing. Let's give them something cool. Maybe it's a ride they need. Maybe it's just something that they'll enjoy. But get them that car. And one thing I'd really like to do, maybe in the next year or so, if I can make it happen, is we'll end up, whether it's our own cars or giveaway cars or whatever, maybe have us a rally con where we can drive from con to con and have each stop do some gaming or that sort of thing, and have a pretty cool little drive across the country deal. But polls are closed. Official winner. We are going to go with the nominated charity giveaway for the car. For the folks that voted for just the regular sweepstakes, I appreciate you guys participating, and call some friends and ask them to nominate you. Let's see here. Almost sounds like there needs to be an artists guild that would help guarantee payment to the artist, but also payment delivery. They have that. It's called art. It's called art companies. The issue is you get a lot of artists who don't want to work for them because A, they don't like deadlines, and B, they seem to think they're getting cheated by somebody bringing a business. Mm-hmm. You should fix that, man. You already gave us a super chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, join the fun if you ever get the chance. And if you want to be part of the whole thing, your super chats are going towards making this thing happen. That's what I do with this channel, is I take that money to fund that car project. It's going to pay to get the thing down here. It's going to pay to fix it up. It's going to pay for some of the really cool designs that we've got for it. It's going to pay for everything, I hope. And let's take just a minute to talk about that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and reveal a couple of things, some ideas I have for this car, and some ideas about it. So the Dodge Dart, Joe, and that's the only thing I'm going to give you here. I'm not going to give you his last name, all that other stuff. Great guy, reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I see what you're doing. My dad had this Dodge Dart. 74 V8 327. How about I just give it to you? And I went, well, damn, that's about the greatest super chat on the planet. You got super chat $2, super chat $3, super chat car. I'm pretty sure car wins. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to get one of them little clips like Double D does, play some Steiner math or something because he gave us a car. But I mean, you really can't beat car. All I got to do is get it down here. Dude's dead. New York firefighter. The guy who did the last restoration, the last underside restoration on this car, because it is a northern car and it has to be taken care of for salt and stuff like that, was also a New York firefighter. Passed away September 11th, digging people out of the ruins of the towers. So you got a lot of really, really cool American history tied up in this vehicle, because I mean, we're talking about real heroes that own this car, real heroes that worked on this car. So what we do is this is the way I see it. And it's great that the car was red to start with. It makes it even more tie back. I'm thinking about taking this car, stripping this thing down, getting it fixed up, and going with a couple of different possible designs. So for one thing, I could take it, just make a good old fashioned street cruiser, slap on some great, New York Fire Department logos, some maybe some callbacks to the engine company that they worked on, that sort of thing, and just make a really cool tribute car. Or we could take it and I don't think I would make a drag car out of it. I want this to be something that people can drive and enjoy, that everybody can drive and enjoy, that you don't really need to know about, handling like severe, extreme performance or something out of, but making it look like a drag car, having the driver's name up on the side, but instead of the driver's name, having engine companies and that sort of thing. Instead of having where the time would be on the windshield, instead having a graphic that has like 9/11, 2020, 2001 or something like that up there. Other stuff like that can make a callback to that kind of cool, make a callback to those heroes that were tied to this car in the past, and just basically cover the thing in Easter eggs and make it look like just a really badass bracket drag car that's got some really cool stuff on it in terms of basically make the fire department and the engine company and stuff, the sponsorship stickers and stuff on it. I think that would be some really, really cool stuff that we could do with that car. And I'm very excited about it. I talked to my body guy. He's extremely excited about it. He's already started, even though we don't even have the car down to Alabama yet. I've got to do the mechanicals on it and stuff like that, the interior. He's already reaching out to try and find airbrushers and stuff to do some really cool graphics on this thing. So I'm really excited about it. We're at least going to do that one. And hopefully this channel continues to grow, continues to get great supporters like you guys in here to make this kind of thing a reality. And it would tickle me to death if 4 or 5 years from now, we have a situation where we're pulling into Gen Con and there's 5 or 6 of these cars pulling in with behind my old 280ZX with, with their different designs and stuff, all funded by folks here on the channel. So we're going to move on to the announcement, and we're going to check some chat here first. Let's see here. Before I go, for the good thing, there's sites like VGN, I think double check the name, that have pretty strict terms of service on payment delivery of goods. Yes, there are companies and sites out there that are great. But I think the best thing to do is just do your due diligence. You're going to hire an artist, talk to them, interview them like you would any other employee. Got us a super chat from John Smith, man. Well, oops. Dude, I probably should have read that first. Sorry about that. I'll see if I can cut that later. Oh, man. That is 100% my fault. I should have read that first. Anyway, you want me to hide that in chat? Just go ahead and sit there, and I'll go ahead and hide it from it, because it's clear as day in the live chat. Let's see here. Barely legal, jacked up rear end, naturally aspirated, Hearst shifter. Hey, come on, man. We can't put a torque monster out there on people. I mean, right there, more torque than anybody needs. Quick fun story. When I was a young guy, all right, had a little bullshit car club that me and some of my buddies were in. We'd meet up out at the old Dollar Theater, if y'all remember what those are, Dollar Theaters, right? And there was this group of old guys who would come out every now and then. They weren't like part of our group, obviously. They just kind of met in the same parking lot on the other side. And they had a bunch of like really cool ass old muscle cars. And there was this one guy who had a canary yellow, I want to say it was like a 71 Plymouth Roadrunner, 446 back. So we're talking 440 cubic inch, big block, 3 2-barrel carburetor, just a monster. It's like I said, canary yellow, has the Roadrunner badge on the the cartoon character on the rear quarter panel. Beautiful car. And we had a couple of kids there. You have the kids that are they got mommy and daddy's money and that sort of thing. And there's these kids here, and these two kids are talking about their little racers. They got a little Cord, and another guy had a Celica, I think. And they're going back and forth. I'm like, hey, man, talking about, what turbocharger, whatever they're going to put on. This was not too long after the first Fast and Furious movie came out. So this old redneck, probably 45 years old, comes walking across the parking lot, and he owns this Roadrunner. He goes, hold on, boy. You kids, I got to teach you youngins something I just won't tell you. You can talk about your turbocharging, your nitrous bottle, and all that stuff, but you see that over there? It's got something you ain't never going to have in them little foreign jobs. And that's torque. Now, to me, that was enough. I'm like, that's about as big an own as you could possibly have. My car has torque, yours never will. But it got even better because this kid who had just been talking about, he had a 6-cylinder Accord, and he had just been talking about, he literally tells this guy, he goes, torque. He's like, what are you talking about, torque? This guy goes, son, torque's what moves your car down the road. And I mean, I about died. This kid looked like he was just like, he looked so pissed. Because everybody's just laughing at him at this point. Torque's just what moves your car down the road. But yeah, that Dart, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not going to put a Hurst shifter in it. We're not putting a B&M rally shifter, going ratchet shift in it. We're not going to go crazy with it. I want anybody to be able to drive it. Now, I might make it look like somebody can't drive it. Let's jack that rear end up a good 2-3 inches. Let's put the front end down an inch or two. Let's put some super skinnies on the front and a nice big fat set of tires on the back. We ain't gonna put the Mickey T's back there, but we'll put a nice set of wide tires on the back. Make it look like that Joker is gonna stand up on the back too and carry it down the strip. That will do. But it's going to be something you can drive to and from the movie theater and not have to stop at every gas station on the way. There you go, right there. Superbird's definition of a muscle car. Superbirds were the definition of somebody cheating. Okay, that's what they were. That was cheating, which that's a topic for a different stream, guys. But motorsport cheating is one of my favorite things in the universe, because the thing about this is what nobody understands. I don't care if it's Formula One, NASCAR, rally car, sports car racing. I don't care if it's amateur track day all the way up to Formula One. Motorsport is about who is the best at cheating and the best at interpreting the rules creatively and not getting caught. And some of the stories that you might hear about cheating in racing, brilliant. Knock your socks off. But yes, the Superbird was essentially cheating. Basically, Chrysler and Dodge were busy losing at NASCAR, and they went to the Chrysler Missile Division had been shut down. And so the guys over there in Dodge and Plymouth went over to the guys who basically Chrysler had to shut down their missile division. So they had all these literal rocket scientists. And they're like, well, we'll move you to the performance division over here for Dodge and Chrysler and Plymouth, right? That way you don't have to lose your jobs, but we lost the missile contract. We're not going to make any more rockets. And the story goes that one of the guys from Plymouth, or actually, I think it was one of the guys from Dodge, literally went over and sat down with the rocket scientists from the missile division and said, hey, we got this Dodge Charger that we race in NASCAR, and it keeps getting its butt kicked. What would you do to fix it? And they literally drew out on a napkin. Well, the first thing I do is I'd put a cone on the nose, and I'd put this big ass spoiler on the back, and I'd cut this this slot off of the back glass. Because basically what you've made is a barn door with big air catches in it. So you've got the least aerodynamic brick in the universe that you're trying to drive around this track. So we're going to turn it into something that looks like a missile with a giant wing on the back that goes faster. So they literally used the missile and rocket division. And then they turned around and they said, well, wait a minute. We can't race it in NASCAR if we don't sell a certain number of them to the public. So they made just enough of them to sell to the public to say it's a road car you can buy on the showroom and then put it on the NASCAR track. For those motorsport folks out there, that's what we call a homologation special. It's literally the racing rules say, well, it's got to be a car you can buy. You have to make X number of examples for regular public consumption. And the company literally goes out and makes just enough to call it a road car, and it's really a race car that you can go pick up at the dealership for an obscene amount of money. But that's what your Superbirds and your Daytona Chargers were, because they just started stomping everybody in NASCAR on the super speedways because they were they were going over 200 miles an hour in an era when the fastest cars were doing like 180. Interactions with artists commission have been quite detailed. Hey, what you got to be. You got to be detailed. I found that out the hard way. Who's ready for an announcement, guys? Who's ready to look at some cool stuff? So, I don't know if any of them happen to be in chat right now, but I, about a year ago now, got a group of pretty cool people from the TTRPG community, including a player from one of my D&D 3.5 games together. And we were looking, and you know what we're missing? Where's our modern Appendix N? Where's our Pulp? Where are our Conan stories and our Cull the Conqueror and our Solomon Kanes? Where are our inexpensive paperback, comes out every month books full of little stories that we can read in one sitting that give us some heroes and some cool ideas to look at, right? Some new worlds to explore. We live in a world where if you want to read fantasy, you're looking at a book that has a title that is the blank of blank and blank, and it's probably a porno designed for middle-aged women who've only males they ever see in their house are cats. And if you're into any kind of sci-fi, it's going to try and ram some kind of political ideology down your throat. And it's more about space communism than it is about aliens or anything else, right? And if you're going to publish with a major publisher, that's what you're going to have. So I gathered a group of us TTRPG guys together, and I was like, who here likes to write? And we started writing some cyberpunk, sci-fi, and fantasy short stories. To tie it back to the earlier topic, we used AI in some stuff. What we used for the AI is I went and I got on, I forgot which AI generator it was, doesn't matter. There's 2 or 3 of them. And I just started, my prompts were idiot simple. It was like, create a random fantasy image with, fantasy genre image with 6 figures, 6 characters. Create a sci-fi image on an alien world with 2 characters or whatever. Very, very simple, idiotic 1-sentence prompts. Made these just garbage images. Threw dozens of them into a chat channel on Discord. And what it says, I said, you don't have to do this particular exercise if you don't want to, but it's there if you do. Run in there, pick an image that sings to you in some way. Go write a story about it. Write a short story, somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 words. And we're going to put it all together, and we're going to create an anthology, and we're going to try and do it like maybe once every 3 months. That's the idea. It may not go quite that fast at first, but let's go ahead and print these stories. I'm going to publish them. We're going to sell them. We're going to put them in physical copies. We're going to turn your story and whatever image inspired your story over to a real artist to create the real artwork for it. And we're going to make these anthologies like the old pulps. So just like you would buy Weird Tales and you would get a Conan story and a Solomon Kane story and 3 or 4 other stories and maybe a poem or something, that's what you get out of this. First issue, I believe, has 7 stories in it. So let's take a look at some stuff here. It will be the Corvid Codex. It is the Book of the Crows, all of us picking what we can out of life. And here's a list of the first issues worth of stories. All have been finished. All have been edited. All have been reviewed numerous times. We work as a team, okay? There's no editing company. There's no professional people here. There's no publishing company that we've contracted with or anything like that. I'm handling the publishing myself. This is a group of guys who got together. We read each other's stories. We give each other feedback. We do our beta reading. We do our editing as a group to put these stories together. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories in this first book. A little over 150 pages worth of fantasy, sci-fi, and cyberpunk content that we have put together. And what is a pulp without a little bit of art? So let's take a look here. Let's look at what our layout might look like. Maybe you like a good cyberpunk story. Maybe one written by yours truly. First 2 pages here of A Cold Bloom by me. A cyberpunk noir thriller with artwork by real artists. No AI at all in this. The only AI that is used in my entire in this entire project is I did create the logo with AI. But that's it. Everything else is human art. This piece right here and all of the title image art that we've got is actually by Rob Necronomicon, who is absolutely fantastic. And if you're looking at doing some kind of big project, like if you want to do some, if you're looking at doing, a game book or some adventures and stuff, he sells stock art on DriveThruRPG. And for, $5, $6, $10, something like that, you can get really cool stock art pictures. Now, those are stock art, which means he can sell them to 1,000 people if he wants to. That's why they're so inexpensive. But they're really good work. And you can take a look here at this this Mateba Sayunica pistol right here. That is, which, by the way, is a real gun. It is a fantastic gun. He has done a great job making that. Our coin and our rose over the top here. This is a great piece of vector art right here that he has put together for us. For this. Purchase a copy just to learn more about Grand Pacifica, huh? I hope so. Purchase a copy. There you go. Buy a copy for yourself. Heck, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about here in a minute is what I'm thinking about maybe for for a possible Kickstarter. I don't know if I'm going to do a Kickstarter just yet or if I'm going to do pre-sales only, but I'm actually thinking about doing a Kickstarter where backers of a certain amount, if we hit a certain goal, that I might actually make a hard copy limited edition version of this. I would say I'd get all the artists to sign it, but you got to keep in mind that are all the writers to sign it. But I've got an artist. My artists are in 2 different countries, and my writers are. I don't think I have 2 writers that are in the same state, so they have to get sent all over creation to get signatures. But this is actually straight from my layout. This is from Affinity Publishing 2, where I'm doing my layout. This has already been sent over to a printer to get actual printing quotes and some layout, and make sure the layout works and everything. Which will be, I will be doing it generally in the standard 6x9 US standard paperback. So the same as all your other regular paperback books, just a lot thinner because it's only going to be about 150. I think it's 168 pages. I think it's what the total is. But if I do a hardbound copy, I'll do a larger hardbound copy. Be a really thin book, but it'll look really cool. Let's take a look at some other stuff here. Let me go ahead and pull this off here. This first 2 pages. This one's actually mine. Now, that's me right there, old Daniel Griffin. That's my story right there. Taking a look here. This is the end of one story. Which that's something I just thought I would do. I put the logo in some of the bigger blank spaces just because I don't want to give people a bunch of blank page for no reason. But you got this great picture by this great story by Robert over here, the eulogy. This is a really cool story. Kind of a weird fantasy sci-fi story that I think a lot of people are going to like. We've done a lot of joking in Discord that eulogy is either going to land our book on the New York Times bestseller or it's going to make every single person not want to buy it because it really is esoteric. It's really strange. It's a very, very unique story and it's really cool. I love this image for it. I might actually look on my computer here and get the bigger version of this image. I love this piece by Rob Necronomicon that he did for this title graphic. Yes, you absolutely can. That is 100% something right there. Patty, by the way, is who I've got doing the cover, and he will do this title graphic. It'll be probably the same image, or at least a piece of the same image. But the title, the cover, and the title image for the cover story are done by Patty. So he's involved in this too. This pic, I'm really, really fond of this piece of art, and I'll probably look on my computer here in about 2 seconds to try and dig this piece up. Actually, let me take a look, see here, and see if I can grab it. Yeah, I got it right here. So let's add an image file. Go over here to Corbid Codex. I might add a couple more. We'll look at a couple of these real quick because Rob did a great job. Check that out. Is that not an awesome image right there? Hey, you guys can tell me if that looks like a story you want to read. But to me, I think that's a captivating image myself. And it kind of shows you some of the stuff I was talking about earlier when it comes to the little tells that you can pull from like the AI art, and you can tell like the people who trace off of their AI and that sort of thing. Is like you look at little things like this, like these creases and these curves that are in this jumpsuit here on this android, and you look at these pieces in this cloak here. These little lines and whatnot, they may seem to people like you and me who are not illustrators as kind of like, this is just bark up here, right? This is just bark on this tree. It really doesn't matter what the pattern is, but this is where you get into kind of the opposite of the uncanny valley, where you look at this android here on the right and you think to yourself, you're like, man, that's kind of cool, but something looks wrong. Something doesn't look right. And you don't realize it, but it's things like the creases on this left side of her chest or her back where it's going under her arm. All right. Those are deliberate. And they look like what it would look like if you were looking at somebody from behind and seeing their shirt have some folds in it. Whereas if you do it with AI, it just has random creases in there that don't make sense with how a person moves. But this tree guy with his spear, this tree person, obviously this spirit coming out of the trunk of the tree, and this android to the right. I'm probably doing a little bit too much spoiler there on his story, but this is you want to talk about one that you really need to read just to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say it's a really cool esoteric story. Eulogy. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, because each one of the stories that I chose to publish in this first issue are kind of cool in their own way. They're very different. None of them are really the same. They're each a little, they've got the artist's own unique flavor to them. There's a lot of different perspectives. There's stuff that's written in first person. There's stuff that's written in omniscient third person. There's fantasy. There's sci-fi. There's like Mad Max style dystopian future type stuff. A lot of cool stuff in there. So it's really hard to compare them all. But this story really sticks with me because it is so different. It is so abstract the way it's written. And it really is like, it's one that I went back and read like 3 or 4 times. Just not necessarily going back and reading 3 or 4 times like, oh my God, I can't put it down. I gotta go pull it back off the shelf and read it. I read this 3 or 4 times because it made me think so much, which is just kind of a really cool thing. Yes. Rob has done a lot of stuff, and he is fantastic. Look at this piece. Honestly, do I need to tell you anything else? Do I need to tell you anything about the story? How about I just send this piece to you, and who in this chat could not make a decent Dungeons and Dragons or Traveler or any other vampire, anything? Who cannot make an interesting adventure out of this image without any further prompting? So, like I said, I'm really kind of fond. I'm really very fond of that one. I'm going to pull this one up. This is from that first story. Like I said, this one, a coin with a tail showing, a rose, and a Sayunica Mateba. That one is the head image for my piece. Definitely more of a classic noir type thing there. And like I said, I love how well he did this gun. This revolver. If you've ever seen this particular fire, this is a real world firearm, by the way, guys. He uses the character in my story carries a Sayutica 454 Casull auto revolver. A lot of you guys who are kind of anime fans might understand it as the gun that inspired Vash the Stampede from Trigun's revolver. It's the barrels on the bottom. It's a kind of a combination of a semi-automatic pistol and a revolver. Really, really weird Italian gun. They're cool as hell. They look like some kind of space weapon. But he did a really good job capturing that piece. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one up here too. This is another image from one of the stories in the book. So we got our cool little mutant creatures over here, cybernetic mutant creatures, with our 2 characters hiding behind the rubble. Got a little bit of a kind of more realistic anime cat girl here hiding in the corner. So, like I said, Rob knocked it out of the park with his artwork. So, in this book, once we got it in production, like I said, I'm considering Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter might be a good way to go, at least to start off. You're going to end up with 6 pieces of artwork from Rob Necronomicon on these title pieces that he just knocked out of the park. You're going to end up with 2 pieces of work from Patty. And I'm not going to put any unfinished stuff up here. I'm not going to put any work in progress stuff up here for you guys. But I'm just going to tell you, like, the cover image, it's awesome. Patty is like, I mean, that cover image is coming together. It's going to be something that is really, really awesome. That is a fantasy sci-fi noir. It kind of melds everything that was ever punk together, and I think it's going to be. I think everybody's going to love that. Here you go, guys. I'm gonna call some folks out here. Urban Verse, right there. He knows that story. Well, he even has an opinion on that dude on the left. That's your author right there, guys. The story that this is the headline image for, that's the author for it right there. And another little piece of spoiler alert, this is also the author. He wrote 2 stories for this book. He is also the writer for the cover story. So yes, this issue is not featuring Daniel from Driving and Dragons as the big focus, as the cover story, as the show off all of his stuff, and this is all about him thing. It is one of the people who joined me in this project who wrote the story that when I read it, I was just like, this has to be the cover story. This wraps everything in the world that is pulp together. It is noir, it is fantasy, it is cyberpunk, it is dystopian, it is everything we want. And Patty is the man who I've put in charge of bringing that to life in terms of visual medium. So it's I'm really excited about this, guys. I think it's going to be something that's really cool. I hope you guys will tell all your friends about it. I hope when I'm ready to announce this Kickstarter, I hope it goes like wildfire, because what I'd really like to do, I mean, obviously, how successful it is going to have something to say about this. But my goal is to actually turn this into a periodical, quarterly periodical, basically every 3 months to put a new one out. I'll have a subscription model to where people can get a discount by getting each new book, subscribing ahead of time. But I want to put out probably 5 to 9 stories in each issue, depending on how long they are and what we've got. We've already got a large amount of issue 2 written. There are pieces. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead. I'm going to expose one more Necronomicon image here. This one right here. This is an image that is, and I believe, is it the final image? I think that is the final image. This is an image from one of the stories that's in the book, fantasy story. This one's serialized. This writer has gone, I mean, this dude has gone turbocharged. He has written about that woman in this picture that's holding that spear that broken spearhead upside down. He has 4 stories already completed about her. Urban has a story that is this multiple parts. Some of our other authors, have one who's also a game designer who has his own TTRPG out, also has a multi-parter. So the entire idea is that each one of these is like, it's not just, oh, here's some stories. There's characters to follow here. There's your, this girl right here. Maybe she's like a Red Sonja, where this may be a self-contained story, but what happens to her in her next adventure? I want this to be something where we have those old pulps back again. And a way I've kind of thought about it is I don't want to be too conceited here. I don't want to look like I'm reaching too far, being Icarus flying up to the sun here. But I would love for this to kind of turn into our generation of gamers Appendix N. I would like this to be, or at least part of it. I would like this to, when you look back and you say, hey, you had Howard and all of the pulp that he inspired, and Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and all of the pulp that they inspired that went into the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons. This is the spiritual successor to that, in the way that Castles and Crusades or Shadow Dark or any of the OSR games are the successors to AD&D. And that's what I would like to see. Now, for all I know, I'll put this out there. 5 people will buy copies and 4 of them will be authors from my own team, and that'll be the end of it. But I hope that this kind of stuff right here inspires some people to maybe be on the lookout for it and to be excited about it. And that's what we're gonna do there. So that being said, big announcement stuff, kind of put myself out there, put my crew out there, put my artists out there, except for Patty, because like I said, his cover art is not quite finished yet, and I'm not the kind of jackass who's going to put out unfinished work for people. That would be quite gauche of me to do. But that's the big announcement right there. That's what we've been working on, and you got a lot of talent that came in to put work out there. I'm very proud of my abilities as a writer. I am by no means the best writer in this book. There are guys who've got things in there that I wouldn't have thought of. So we've got great stuff in there, and I think I lucked my way into coming across the right artists for it, and everything that's in this book comes from the TTRPG community. That's all there is to it. Every single person here is a Dungeons and Dragons guy. Whether they started with 1st edition, started with 4th edition, started with 3rd edition, started with 5th edition. These are all D&D, Traveler, Cyberpunk guys. And I'm hoping that we can bring back some of the stuff that a lot of these modern publishers ignore, because we don't have Minotaur Sex Farm in our book. Anyhow, there's some graphic stuff in there. I mean, take a look at this. This guy's getting eaten alive by bugs. That's not it doesn't hold back on things. However, this is not. There are no large-breasted anime elf chicks as a selling point for this novel. So I'm sorry if that's what you're looking for. But let's take a look here at a couple of chats, and then we'll get wrapped up here. We're coming up on our 2 hours here. Patty, pretty excited for it too. Need things that will be Conan for kids, all grown up 40 years from now. That's what we're aiming for. I want people who grew up on Conan and people who never got a chance to meet Conan to be able to read this and have their own set of heroes. And like I said, I'm really excited about seeing the finished work that you got for the cover, because what I've seen so far is pretty cool. Tell you somebody who's going to be even more excited about that is this gentleman right here, because you're writing his story. It's very much write the stories you want to read with all the subpar offerings out there, especially in male-oriented fiction. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? A lot of male, especially young male, and when I say young male, I mean anything from 10 years old up to about 25. You want to talk about people they just don't care about anymore. Nobody writes for young men anymore. Nobody writes for the young guy who needs a role model, be it a what to do or what not to do. Nobody writes for the young boy who needs to understand what it means to stand on principle. We don't have Druss the Legend anymore. We don't have Ragnar the Earl of Bronze. We don't have Frodo's. We don't have Sam Gamgees. We don't have Conans. We don't have Belgarians anymore. We don't have these characters anymore. We don't have Ged from the Wizard of Arcee. These characters are not there anymore. We have these morally gray muck garbage characters that are there to fulfill sexual fantasies for women who used to buy their books from the checkout register at the grocery store. And I think young male fiction is kind of a dying art, and maybe this can be some small piece that we do to fill that gap. Something you might not give to your 7-year-old son, but something you can give to your 12-year-old son, and that he can read and see that maybe the world's not so fantastic, but maybe it's not the nicest place in the universe, but that if you stand up and you do what's right, maybe you can make something happen. You're just a contrarian, man. No French wine and no big boob elf chicks, and all of a sudden you're out. This is an elf-free zone. We're all tiefling here. Let's see here. Successful your boycott of this live stream means buying 20 copies on release. Man, you buy 20 copies and I'll deliver them to you personally. Thankful there's not. Yes, there is no Game of Thrones degeneracy in this book. Like I said, is it entirely PG-13? No. But no, there's no rampant degeneracy in here. This is not the kind of thing that I would say that a teenage boy should not read. These stories are they deal with real issues. There's some real issues in there. There's some having to deal with worlds that suck. In some cases, in other cases, there's just some good old fashioned great fantasy. And the trees are nice, John. Yeah, they're not. Luckily for me, my best friend's fiance or girlfriend, I don't think he's proposed to her at this point, but we may as well call it that, is from New Hampshire, so I'm sure he'll have to go up there at some point. Her family's up there. He lived up there for a while, but I mean, hey, in case you haven't picked it up on this channel, long drives are not something that really turns me off. I give me an excuse to point my car in a particular direction and drive endlessly, and I'm happy. And 20 copies, I'll do it. I mean, granted, I'll just make the gas money back, but I think it's I think it's worth it. But yeah, it's there's no. I didn't write a Penthouse. Not me or any of my authors wrote a Penthouse forum letter. Period. Who doesn't like any scantily clad cat girl, but keeping it smut free otherwise? I mean, is she really scantily clad? I mean, maybe somewhat. I mean, she's wearing at least as much as Kung Lee from Street Fighter. And to be perfectly honest, I think that this is actually a little bit more covered than this character actually is described in the book. She's probably a tad bit more modest than she's supposed to be. Hold on. Everybody here give a round of applause for that. San Antonio, Texas to Bangor, Maine. Holy Jesus. That is a drive right there. That is a drive. I bet it's a really nice drive, though, because let's see here. If I'm going from San Antonio, I'm thinking I'm probably maybe going up through Arkansas, going through the Kentucky bluegrass country into West Virginia, and then up into the Northeast. That way, probably going through Vermont, through Pennsylvania or Vermont, and cutting the far western half of New York, maybe. Yeah, that sounds like a beautiful drive. I mean, with 3,400 miles, Jesus, that's a haul, my friend. But I'll bet that is I'll bet that was a beautiful drive, especially this time of year. Are you kidding me? You're driving through all the leaves changing, all the nice temperatures and everything, and the snow's not too abysmal when you get up into the Northeast yet. I mean, it is getting there. I mean, but I doubt you were buried or snowed under or stuck behind any plow trucks spraying salt all over everything. Oh yeah, Tennessee. I'm a huge fan of Tennessee. I love Tennessee. Central Tennessee is probably where I will eventually end up. You want to talk? I mean, let me rephrase that. Central Tennessee is where I'll eventually end up if I can afford it. I don't know if you've seen that, but everybody wants to buy in Tennessee. But yeah, great drive, I think. Near perfect outside of Boston. The only thing that's outside of Boston that's bad is that you're in a land filled with mass halls. I learned that from my buddy when he had to live up in New Hampshire for a while. But yeah, mountains of Vermont absolutely made the whole rest of the trip pale. I'll bet it did. I mean, let's face it, Vermont is a tourist trap. The entire damn state is basically tourism, and it's not even like tourism like there's theme parks and other cool stuff. It's literally come up here and see the fact that we haven't torn anything down. We got lots of really cool pine trees and mountains and snow caps, and we have laws against unartistic billboards. In Maine, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a restaurant that is on my bucket list in Maine. It's called The Last Kitchen. You have to send in postcards and be selected to get a reservation in their like 3 months that they're open. Man, it's all locally sourced stuff like that. And that place looks awesome, but it's up there in Maine. But guys, it is 8:00 p.m. in the Central Standard Time. We have been at it for 2 hours and 2 minutes here. I have made my great announcement about the Pulp fiction novel anthology that is coming out. Once again, 7 stories, 6 authors, 2 artists, in physical medium as well as in PDF. We will be putting that out there for you guys, and I hope you guys will support it. Once again, thank everybody who decided to throw out a super chat, join as a member, sign up for the Patreon, that sort of thing. Really appreciate you guys being here and spending your evening with me and talking about some AI and this important stuff that we got going on out here, this world-changing TTRPG stuff. And I hope every last one of you guys has a fantastic Thanksgiving. I will be back in the first week of December. We're supposed to be the first and third week of every month. I'm sorry, we're supposed to be the second, fourth week of every month, but it's a little messed up because of the holidays. I will make sure that everybody is aware of when the next stream is, and I will see you guys on Monday for Intelligence as a dump stat. Thank you guys for coming out.